person to be harmed. It is you drinking it every day. And I know that because this is what it's not. It is not giving them a pass.
Right.
It is not saying what you did was okay. That is not what forgiveness is. That is not it. Forgiveness, and people say, well, if you say you forgive, but you don't forget, then you haven't forgiven. That's not true either. Let me tell you this. I long ago forgave the man that raped me. I never forgot it. I never forgot it. The guy that molested me was as a little kid. The man that raped me as an adult, I forgave him because it was for me.
Right.
So that I would not walk around a bitter person. And see, let me say this too. A lot of the bitterness and things that we hold on to causes us to do things that lead to more bad in our lives. And that's what I knew even before I was raped. Thankfully, I knew that because that allowed me to go ahead and release him, forgive him for it, so that I could be free, so that I would not be bitter, so that I would no longer look at sex in a terrible way. I could still enjoy the experience. I could, but if I had held on to it, there were so many things involved in my relationship with my rapist. I knew him.
Right.
Okay. He was somebody that I knew and had been in a relationship with. And the rape was a power move. It was a power move. He knew that he was losing his control over me. He knew that I was ready to walk away. And that was his power move. When he had asked me before that to marry him and I said no, and he knew that was what I wanted all along. And then I said no, then came the rape.
Right.
So it was just about a power dynamic. This wasn't even about sex. This was about power with him. But I had to let him go from that and forgive him for that so that I wouldn't be bitter.
Yeah.
Because see, if I remain bitter and hold on to those things, there is that part of me and everybody else that can easily become a murderer.
Right.
Easily. Because by right, some folks deserve it.
You're talking, don't look at me because you know what I'm going to say.
Right, but I'm just saying, but that's why, and I'm totally looking at you because I want you to understand, I know and understand what you're saying. And I know how easily that can happen. And I know for me, I needed to do what I needed to do so that I could be whole.
I could sleep good.
Okay.
I know.
He said he could sleep good after, yeah. Cause
I'm not a
Man, you gotta get married.
Okay, right, okay, yeah, right.
I can't feed me.
Okay.
I'm just saying this.
Well, because it's awful.
Love that y'all have the love in your heart.
But that ain't you, huh?
That can't be me because I can't feel it. And I believe in God.
Yes.
And you know I do.
I know you do. Yes.
But he gonna have to
work on me.
Smite my ass when I get up there.
He got to smite him cold. Look, I understand. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this.
Oh, I can't.
Listen, I can tell you that, and like you said, there were times where you did contemplate it.
Oh yes.
And now, even now, periodically, it may creep up.
Yes.
So I'm saying I can tell you. In fact, I will tell you this. So when Mike Tyson, the girl Desiree Washington said Mike Tyson raped her, the beauty queen.
Yeah.
And she did this interview, and I just reserved judgment because I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know him, I don't know her, whatever. But then I saw her do an interview on Barbara Walters, and when they asked her, well, what would you like to see happen to him? And she said in her beauty pageant training, because this is what they teach you when you do, if you don't know the answer or you're thinking of an answer, you repeat the question to give yourself time to formulate the answer. So she goes, well, what I would like to see happen to him is, I would like to see him get some help. Not cola.
Read, please.
Rape survivor to rape survivor. Really? Was that ever on the list of shit?
Be pleased.
I'm talking about in the year after,
Right.
in the year immediately after it happened. Look, it might come years later. If she had said cut off his penis, castrate him, if she had said I want him to go blind, I don't never want him to have no kids, I want his wife to be raped.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If you
terrible. You did it a cold.
I'm saying if she had said any of those things, I would say, oh yeah, he raped her.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Because these are the things that you think. Not ever on the list is I want him to get some help.
Right.
That's just not on the list. In the first year, is that even a year after?
Because she should be angry.
And she's saying he sodomized her. Yes, Nicola. Okay.
She getting a paycheck or something. But even then,
the anger,
you'll see it.
the rage. Mind you, I was raped by somebody I had been in a relationship
Did
with.
she cry?
No. Yeah, come on. So I'm saying,
no, that ain't good.
you wasn't raped, but if you ever see this, I'll tell you that to your face.
Something happened, something wrong.
So the story is not adding up.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I don't know nothing about the circumstance. Now, of course, okay, why would you leave the room after curfew? Why did you, because these were questions I had ahead of time, but I still was not going to say that he didn't rape her, because just because no matter what you do, you don't know. You can go to a man's hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, not intending to have sex with him. And be naive or whatever and put yourself in a bad situation and something happen. That is possible.
Yes.
You can go in there, but it was crazy to me that she went in the bathroom before he raped her and took her panty liner off.
Why?
Well, if you get ready to have sex with somebody and you anticipate you don't want your panty liner, that makes sense. Okay, so maybe she had it on all day and she didn't want him to see the dirty panty liner, but why did you go in there and take it off? If me and you, we could go to a hotel all for 2 nights and I would never think to take my panty liner off around you and throw it in the trash. You see what I'm saying? Because we not getting ready to do nothing. Right? But that was suspicious to me. But I was convinced that he did not rape that woman based on that answer. Because again, in less than a year after being sexually assaulted, him getting help for what? Him getting help, I wouldn't give a flying fuck. What help?
Unless it was for TV.
Okay. But however it goes, and like I say, because I had been in pageants as a little girl, I knew when she started off the answer, well, what I would like to see happen to him is, and she thought about TV. She thought about she was on television. She thought about how it would make her look like the bigger person. And she thought about all of that and what it advance her, whatever she had going in her head that made her accuse him of the rape in the first place. She thought that sounded good. But
it didn't look good.
It did to say what if he had raped her. But when you've been raped, you don't have necessarily the control over that rage initially. You don't get to, and if somebody's asking you outright, it's gonna come out, because what do I want? I want you know what I'm saying? It's like if I slap you, you're gonna pop me back before you even think about it. It just doesn't, there's just no way that I can believe that Desiree Washington was raped by Mike Tyson. And he did 3 years in jail for that. Now that's not to say that Mike Tyson didn't deserve to go to jail for raping somebody. I don't know what his history was, but I can honestly sit here and I would argue with anybody, he did not rape that woman. And he did time for that. And him and all of those people that are affiliated with him suffered because she told a lie.
I think that maybe what happened was, this is just me since we're talking about it, is that she didn't intend on being raped. She probably had a little intention, maybe messing with him, maybe not, but then he took her butt instead of her vagina.
And then
And they do that.
yeah, and then
And so that's where the rape came in, the humiliation.
I think, and
You
see,
know.
I think she was even okay with
Instead
that.
of
I think
being real about
I think even where the humiliation came in and the rape allegation came in, he would not walk her
it. Oh,
downstairs.
he didn't want
He
it.
didn't walk
Rejected
her. He didn't walk her downstairs to the car
The rejection.
to get back.
That
Yeah.
was rape.
And so yeah, it was, you know what I'm saying? So this was revenge, is what I have believed it was.
Oh, I know a lot of women
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But you know, so people don't understand, like, for you to forgive your mother, because not only did he molest you, but he molested your sister.
Mhm.
And it was interesting, her response, and I want everybody to
Oh,
understand
girl.
this. I want everybody to understand this. There is no particular way to respond to being raped and molested, and particularly as a kid. So her sister's response to it was to deny it ever happened for many, many, many years. And when Nicola told, she said, no, he didn't do anything to me. Even though Nicola you tried to protect her. You tried to get in the way of him harming her on more than one occasion.
Even beat my mama.
Right. You know, you tried to beat the line of defense, which is, I want you to know, common amongst children who are abused.
Mhm.
They become the defender. They become the defender for the family. They do. It's common. Because I haven't been able to protect me, so I'm going to protect them. That is a common response. Let me tell you this. So we have a property where we have former foster children who have aged out of the system, and we let them share a living room, dining room, and kitchen, but they have a bedroom and bathroom that locks on its own, you know, it locks like an apartment door. And a lot of them begin to try to bring, of all people, their birth mothers to live with them. They can't have overnight guests, but they put their housing in jeopardy to house their mothers over and over again. What just happened? What just happened? What just happened? Let it go. What was the thought? But like I said, there's no right way, there's no one way to respond to having your innocence taken as a child. And
You know, I want to say it's crazy that you said, I'm sorry.
no, please,
About being a protector.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And being a protector, I'll never be protected in nothing.
Right. Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
And the only person protect me is my home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
So even though they talk about the gangs, but my homeboys have helped me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have homegirls that have my back from different hoods, more than my own.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, I'm not protected. No, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Not even from my children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not protected.
Mm-hmm.
On nothing. And I'm always
Protecting.
worried about what's going on. They call me, but I'm just a woman. I'll be wondering, when am I gonna ever be able to be a woman, a feminine woman?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't no cockfighter. I
Right.
ain't judging nobody.
No, but that's just not you.
That ain't me.
Right.
But I wonder. I don't date. I don't have a man because I choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
And since I got the book, I'm really not settling.
Thank you.
know,
Hallelujah.
I'm really not settling.
Hallelujah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that has been a challenge throughout your life, but I want you, this is what I would say, this is how you begin to heal from that. You begin to look and focus on those people, your homeboys and homegirls that do protect you.
Yeah.
I want you not to think about the unprotected part, because I want you to start, the law of attraction is what you focus on is what you're going to bring more of to you. Okay, so that's just universal. It doesn't matter. Whatever you focus on is what you're going to generate in your life. So the fact that it's been a theme, it's kind of hard not to focus on it because it's been constant for you.
Yep.
Constant.
Just don't
I
know.
mean, like, it's just been constant. And so I want you to start focusing on the few, even if it's 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 circumstances. When you think about being protected, when that thought comes, because inevitably it's going to come up again.
Right.
Something's going to happen and it's going to generate in you that thing that says, I'm not protected. Here I am. I'm they're leaving me out here again. Right at that moment, I want you to say, yeah, but so-and-so protected me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because you got to switch the narrative in here so that you can begin to attract to yourself that you want to see, not what you don't want to see. The focus has to be on what I do want to see in my life in order to attract it to me. And because you have been a protector your whole life, from what I could read,
Yeah.
because you have been, what will happen is it will begin to attract to you. And you have earned that. You earned that. And then I want to say this too. Yahweh has protected you. Because like you just said earlier,
Yes.
you have, and I found it amazing too, how you landed on your feet all those times. All the various times, like even our meeting, I don't even know how you came to me. How did you get to me? I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know but long story short is, in one of those situations where she needed a place and she was going to court trying to get her kids and all of this, and she didn't have enough children for the unit in her custody for the unit that I put her in. But the intention was to go to court so that she had to have a place to take her kids in order to get them back. And we allowed her, and this was my decision. I didn't take this to nobody. It was my decision to trust you and trust what you were saying and go to court with you to help you try to get your kids back. So that you had a place for them. But that was being led by the Spirit. That wasn't about, like, I didn't know anything.
And you helped me with the income legally. Yes. And you said, what else do you do?
Right.
What else bring income?
Yes.
And actually, I was living in the shelter to try to get Section 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing hair on 20-something and something Central and something Griffin, I think. And so I was told by one of the homegirls from 30s that was in a low income.
Okay.
So what I did was they wouldn't give me the hookup. They just told me. So I went knocking on doors. I went to the other building, but I wouldn't let up. That's just me. I don't know why I'm like that. So I kept going back. You wasn't there. You need to see this person, or you need to see. And this particular day was burning up hot. I will never forget this day. Wow. And I went in there. It was like my last hope. And you set me down and just asked me serious questions. And you said, well, can I go to court with you? Because you wanted to see if it was true. And I kept telling you, I'm innocent. And I'm, telling you about it. And you helped me with the income. I did hair. You said, well, we can add this up with this. And can you call them? And even my date for my welfare, I know this sounds crazy. I was getting my check on the 9th. But my rent needed to be paid on the 1st or by the 5th or something to that effect.
Yes, you're right.
They changed my welfare till the 1st.
Wow.
And it's still there,
right. But what's crazy to me? What's crazy to me is, so this is what I want you to know. I want you to focus on those times. Yes. Because he protected you. They not in the flesh, but Yahweh protected you because when I think about the one where you talked about the time where you needed the apartment, you was getting put out and you needed the apartment and somebody said, well, you can't stay here, but I know somebody down the street got a place. And it wasn't even really an apartment, but it was somewhere for you to lay your head. A pool, yeah. So I'm saying, and let me tell you guys something. The same day. And I'm saying to you, you were protected, baby. Yeah. I'm saying, and again, for a lot of people who have been watching our videos, there's a lot of conversation about what goes on in prisons and all of that. But I want you to know that this conversation is very relevant, particularly I'm thinking about the women that were in my groups in CIW. If anybody from there ever got a hold of this, this would be something I would love to play for them in the prison so that they understand they're not alone.
Right.
That is the biggest thing for me, is to make sure you all out there understand you are not alone. Not alone. You're not the only one. And the conversations we're having about how do you change the momentum? How do you change what happens? And the law of attraction, and understand these things. These are things that are universal. And whatever, because one of the things that happens is trauma leads to bad behavior, which leads to incarceration.
Right.
You did your own time in jails and stuff like that.
CIW, Miller.
Okay. Miller B. Woo! Okay. Okay, right. You weren't there for that. Right, but I was, but I kind of was. I was kind of almost halfway, a little bit. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the thing of it is that the trauma from the outside life can lead to incarceration. It leads to other bad behavior a lot of times that causes people to do things that will lead them to incarceration. And so it's really important, even though, like, again, we are freed from whatever was holding us back to heal. That's what this YouTube channel is about. Freed to heal, yes, freed from incarceration, but also freed from the thinking that says, I'm not worthy, or that says, I'm a dumping ground for everybody's nonsense, or freed from the idea that nobody loved you and nobody protected you. Actually, Yahweh protected you. So let's focus on that. Let's take that narrative out of the picture. You see what I'm saying? Because it matters. And so we want to heal. There were things, like I said, I just know firsthand, even a lot of men were led to incarceration based on trauma. You are an example. The car accident caused you not to be able to learn to read, which caused people to tease you, which set you on a pattern of behavior and things that led you to spend the vast majority of your life incarcerated. It was the result of the trauma. It wasn't that you was a bad seed. You know how I know? Because you are all right with me. You see what I'm saying? You a good dude, literally, to your core. You a fair person and you're a good man. Now, I'm sure there's some folks in some of them bars that would say, him? That's what you think? Bitch, are you crazy?
Right.
He's a monster, right? But that was the lifestyle you were living that started from trauma at being hit by a car at 6 years old.
Even Frank, when he was in prison, Cat used to come up to him and say, "Oh, you hanging out with that dude? That dude is nuts."
Okay, because they don't see you that way, but you see, there is something beyond just what you can see in front of you. I need everybody to understand that there are people that you might see and you might instantaneously want to look down on them. I advise you against doing that.
Right.
You don't know what happened. So Brian Stevenson asked the question and Oprah Winfrey has picked it up. Instead of us saying, why are you acting like that? Why are you doing this? We should be asking, what happened to you?
Right.
Yeah, but it's like I told you about when they called out for the Mormon services. Bugged me for a week, and nothing bugged me, and I had to go. And I'm not saying he turned me around, because you know how I am, but he makes me think.
Well, the thing of it is yeah, he turned you to him, and one of I think what you said is so important, because there's a misconception of people who have been incarcerated, that unless you've been incarcerated, you're so square, you have no clue what's going on. There's a lot of I hear at the halfway house a lot in groups. Well, civilians don't know this. Y'all don't know this out here. Out here, in there, this, and they always want to talk about what was going on in there. And as if we are somehow deficient because we wasn't in there. Well, let me just tell you this. I said this, I would say it all the time. The only difference between me And the women in CIWs, they got caught and I didn't.
Right.
You know that not to butt in, but
Oh, butt in, please.
it's like when you tell somebody you're a murderer,
Mhm.
they kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in prison, when you tell somebody, well, I took out these two, hey, okay, you're all right.
That's
Mhm,
right.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Well, one of the things I say, and I think I've shared this story with you guys before, and I just shared it with Bull the other day at South Park. He had me out at South Park. When I was 18, I found out that a girl had stolen something from my mother when we were in high school. And literally, I laid in wait for her. I saw red, like I was gone. There was hours that I don't recall. I can't tell you what happened during that space. I was gone.
Mhm.
It just was like everything went red. I could see, like if you're out in the sun, you get punched in the eye and all the little red dots start flying. That's all I could see. I know I went red, but what happened between then and the time she came around the steps and gave me what she had stolen, I took the pipe that I had that I intended to beat her to death with and took it. She never opened her mouth and she gave it to me. That was a blessing for me because I would have spent my life in prison for killing someone over something that my mother, we could easily have replaced. And it would have torn my mother's heart apart. But at the time, it was the principle of it. How could you steal? You came into my house, into my home, stole from my mother. You let my mother come down here. When I went to college, my mother brought the sewing machine. She made curtains and decorated our rooms, everything. And she did the same thing for her that she did for me. And then through the course of that freshman year, things would come up stolen. And I thought it was my new roommate that I didn't know. All along it was her. I felt so violated and hurt.
Mhm.
And I will tell anybody, I'm more likely to want to fight if I'm hurt than if I'm angry.
Right.
And I was hurt. I was hurt. So, I was hurt. So as a result of that, I really wanted to do her harm. But because of it, when she gave me back the item, and then I went back to my room, I started shaking. I got scared. I felt no fear up until that moment.
Mhm.
But then I got afraid. And I said, oh my gosh, I can never be that angry again. I can never allow myself to be that angry ever again. It's dangerous.
Mhm.
And that's when I realized how easily anybody could become a murderer.
Yeah.
And so for me, I will tell you this, I'm more offended or less likely want to be around somebody who told me that they was convicted of stealing than I'm a murderer. And I know y'all might think that's crazy. But because I know the circumstances, you cannot say what you won't do.
Right. Never.
Please don't. Please don't. Because the circumstances can lead you to a place that rage takes over. I'm telling you guys, I was blacked out. I can vaguely remember people coming up and down the steps while I sat there. And apparently I must have sat there for like 6 hours waiting for her. I sat because I was in the financial aid office at 2 something. And by the time I got back downstairs to my room, it was after 8.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so literally, but I couldn't tell you where I got the pipe from. I can't tell you I don't even remember leaving the financial aid office. I don't remember any of it. So I'm saying to you in a split second, anything can, so for me, again, that became for me like, oh, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I've never been a violent person.
How many times I told you? 3 second rule.
Yes.
You would do something in 3 seconds that you'll pay for
The
forever.
rest of your life.
And it's
Yeah.
one of the things we teach